Hello, I want to welcome everyone to the webinar. Before we get started, I just want everybody to know that I'm absolutely overwhelmed by the response that we've had to this. To be honest, I was expecting 5 to 10 attendees from right around where my offices are, and as it stands right now, we're well over 50. The really cool thing to me is that we actually have people on the webinar from all over the United States. So like I said, before I get started, I just want to give you a heartfelt thank you for spending a little bit of your time with me today. Now, before we get started, I do want to go ahead and make a couple of recommendations. And the first recommendation I want to give is so that you can get the most out of the time we spend together, and that is to grab a pen and several pieces of paper. While many of you may think you know a lot about weight loss and health, the reality is I will most likely be sharing some information with you that you're definitely going to want to write down because it's going to make a huge difference to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a few seconds to go ahead and grab your pen and paper, so go ahead and grab them now. All right, so you got your pen and paper. And lastly, before we get started, I want to make sure that not only do you stay on the webinar, but pay close attention because I'm going to be giving you some secrets that I've used to help my patients lose a tremendous amount of weight safely and quickly and for the long term. And I'm pretty sure that's why most of us are all on the webinar. Now, before we get started, I do want to introduce myself to you. My name is Dr. Jason Strode, and I'm a practicing chiropractor with over 19 years experience. I'm a nationally recognized continuing medical education instructor and speaker. I have exceptional credentials, including being named a Who's Who in Chiropractic and America's Top Chiropractors for the last 9 years in a row. Additionally, I was named Chiropractor of the Year in 2004 by a large national chiropractic organization. I've successfully helped thousands of patients attain a healthier, more productive life. And as I said earlier, I am in active practice. I have 2 offices in the St. Louis, Missouri area. So as we get started, I don't know about you, but I see a lot of commercials and a lot of data and a lot of research and a lot of newspaper articles on the current rate and amount of people that are either overweight or obese in the United States. And a lot of people wonder why that is. And as a practicing physician, I have to tell you, the number of people that I see coming into my practice now that are either overweight or obese is substantially higher than it was when I started in practice a little bit over 19 years ago. And when we look at these 2 maps, the map on the left is the obesity rate map in 1985. It's put out by the Centers for Disease Control. And basically what those 2 different blue colors are is the percentage of people that are obese state by state. So the lighter of the blue, that is less than 10% of the population of the state, and that little bit darker blue, that's a percentage that's 10 to 14% of the population that would be considered obese or overweight. Now, if you look at the map on the right, that's also put out by the Center for Disease Control for the year 2010. And what you're going to see is first of all, there's no white, there's no light blue, and there's not even any dark blue. The lightest color that you see is tan. And that tan color tells us that somewhere between 20 and 24% of that state's population is considered obese. The orange color tells us that 25 to 29% of that state's population is obese. And then the dark red, or the almost burgundy-looking color, tells us that 30% or more of the people that live in that state are actually obese. And that's not counting the percentage of the people that are overweight. So when we look at these maps, we can truly see that the increasing rates of obesity in the United States is reaching epidemic proportions. And I'm here to tell you it's going to have very serious negative consequences, not only on our health, but on our economy as a country as we go further in time if we don't get this under control. Now, you may also be wondering exactly what the current obesity rates are in the United States. Well, according to the CDC, 35.7% of adults and 16.9% of children ages 2 to 19 are obese. And as I said, that was reported by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, also known as the CDC, and it was reported earlier this year. If that's not frightening enough, let me give you this other statistic. The Center for Disease Control also projected that obesity rates will reach at least 44% in every single state in the United States of America by the year 2030. Having successfully treated thousands of patients over the last 19 years, what I've come to learn is that there's really only 2 reasons why people ever want to lose weight. And the 2 reasons are basically vanity and health. There are some people that just simply worry about how they look and they want to look better, they want to have a better self-image. And then the other reason is health. Maybe a person is concerned about heart disease. Maybe they have heart disease. Maybe they're a diabetic. Maybe they're at a risk for a stroke, and one of their doctors has said you need to get your weight under control, and maybe they've tried some things and they're having some problems, and that may be you on the webinar tonight. But the other person, you may just be worried about looking a little bit better. So we're going to actually be going over both of these because I want you to understand that even if you're interested in losing weight for vanity reasons, you're going to improve your health as you go along. So these are actually some statistics about health, and these come from the American Heart Association. And basically what we see first is the fact is that middle-aged women with a BMI of greater than 23 have a 50% greater chance of heart disease. Now I want you to understand what a BMI is. The BMI is your basal metabolic index, and the number 23 is actually the highest end of acceptable weight for you as an individual. So really get what this means. Middle-aged women who are even just overweight, not even obese, have a 50% greater chance of developing heart disease than that of middle-aged women who are of normal, healthy weight, who have a BMI of less than 23. And then the statistics for men are even worse. Middle-aged men with a BMI of greater than 25 have a 72% greater chance of having heart disease than that of middle-aged men who are of an appropriate height and weight, who are not overweight or are not obese. And as I said earlier, this actually comes from the American Heart Association. Now, this statistic actually is just frightening and staggering, and that is that 70% of cardiovascular disease, 70% of heart disease, is directly related to obesity. And this statistic actually comes from the American Heart Association as well. Now, this one, diabetes, pretty much everybody these days knows somebody who has or is a diabetic. And when you look at these people, what you're going to notice is a lot of them are actually overweight. And what we know is that 80% of type 2 diabetics, that type 2 diabetes, is directly related to people being overweight and people being obese. Now, it's important for you to understand that there are also a lot of other conditions that are related to diabetes as well, and those include heart disease, high blood pressure, kidney disease, diseases of the nervous system such as neuropathy. Diabetes is the #1 cause of non-traumatic related amputation in the United States, and blindness. So what I'm really wanting you to understand is not only should you be losing weight for vanity reasons, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to have a better self-image and wanting to feel better about yourself, but you have to understand that there are so many serious health conditions that are out there that are related to a person being overweight or obese that it's time to get this under control. The other thing that I think it's important for you to know is that being overweight or being obese actually costs you more than just life expectancy. It actually costs you money. So exactly how much money is it costing you? The American Diabetes Association found that the medical cost of people who are obese were on average $1,429 more per year than the medical cost for people who are of a normal weight. So now for those of you who are interested in more of the weight loss for the vanity reasons, or maybe you haven't even given it too much thought, what I want you to do is the pictures on the left are before and after pictures of one of my patients, a female patient. That's after 6 weeks. And the gentleman on the right is also one of my patients. That's after 6 weeks. And basically the question I want to ask you is, even if you're not into vanity and you're not a really self-conscious individual and you've got a good self-image, given the choice, which would you prefer? If you're a female, would you rather be the picture on the left or the picture on the right? If you're a gentleman, would you rather be the picture on the left or the picture on the right? And I think if every one of us are honest with ourselves, I think we'd all probably rather be the picture on the right. So everybody knows one of the things that I commonly hear when consulting patients is that there are some people that actually think that they just can't lose weight. Maybe they've tried various things and they weren't met with great success. Now, you see the number 95%. The current statistics out there show that 95% of people that try to do a diet fail. And am I talking to thousands of people? What I know is this, and because we get in the real conversation, because if I want to help this person, I have to kind of debug them on what has caused them to fail. And what I found is there's some common denominators. One is that maybe People give up because the results are just too slow. They're not seeing the results fast enough. Some people say they just don't have any willpower. Other people have done programs where they've had to have boring food, or maybe the food just didn't taste right. If they were buying prepackaged food, they just didn't like it. Some people say, gosh, I'm always hungry. Some people have cravings. And then another thing that we hear a lot of is that the patient actually lost the weight, but it came right back as soon as they went off the diet. If we look at the reasons or the experiences that people had from the previous slide, I'm very comfortable in saying that the reason most dieters fail, the reason most people, and that 95% of people fail, is they simply don't know which direction to go. The reality is this: if you've gone a certain path and it has led to failure, if you keep going the same path, you're going to wind up failing again. There's the old definition of insanity, and that is doing the same old thing the same old way and expecting a different result. If you do that, that's insane. So if you want to be successful, you need to take a different path. So what we know is a lot of people decide what program they're going to do. Is maybe they jump on a fad diet. Maybe they've had a friend, a neighbor, a coworker who's lost a bunch of weight by doing something that was the right direction for them, but you went on it because, gosh, you know, it worked for them and it's got to work for me, but maybe it wasn't the right direction for you. And as a result, you wound up failing. A lot of times people try to figure it out online. They do all these hours and hours and hours and hours of research, only to find out that in the end, it's too comprehensive, it's too involved, and they just don't have the time to do it. And a lot of people, unfortunately, these days, with a lot of the claims that have been made out there, a lot of people have bought some, quote, miracle, end quote, off the internet. And once you've actually gone and started doing the program or whatever it is that you bought, you find out that all that glistens isn't gold. Now, the hard reality is that you're probably watching this because what you've tried in the past hasn't worked. So long-term successful weight loss and knowing the right direction to go is critical. If you don't know where to go and you're just kind of moving through space trying to lose some weight, it's just like getting in your car to go on a trip and not knowing how to drive. Now, you may know how to start the car, you may know how to get in the car and start it, but if you don't know how to drive, you're not going to get very far. So I know a lot of you are sitting here thinking, well, gosh, Dr. Strode, I really don't know which direction to go. Well, the good news is that there's a map for successful long-term weight loss. And these are very well-founded, very well-researched principles. Grab your pen and paper, write these down. Dietary modification. You have to learn to modify your diet. There's got to be behavior modification. You have to learn how to make better choices. You need to be doing nutritional supplementation in order to maximize the performance of your body. The better that your body runs, the faster you're going to burn the weight off. Exercise when it's appropriate, and study after study after study shows that when a person has an accountability partner or they have some accountability to someone, their long-term success is much greater. So basically what I just did with that last slide is you're in the car and you know how to drive, and I said just drive towards the sun. It's going to give you a general direction to go, but it doesn't go into detail. So when we talk about making appropriate dietary changes, what we're talking about is we want our patients, I want my patients to be eating low glycemic index, anti-inflammatory foods in the right blends and the right ratios. Now, you may not be familiar with the term low glycemic index or anti-inflammatory foods. So basically, the glycemic index is a tool for measuring the rate at which the carbohydrates or the sugars in your food are absorbed into your bloodstream. The more rapid rise in blood sugar, the higher the glycemic index number. Now, low glycemic foods are more satisfying than high glycemic foods. Low glycemic index foods take longer to absorb, and as a result, they help you feel full longer, and this means you're less likely to overeat or to snack between meals. On the converse, high glycemic index foods break down faster, leaving you hungry and less satisfied. Now, the other thing is most but not all foods on the lower end of the glycemic index scale tend to be healthier, more nutrient-rich, less processed, and higher in fiber. And these are going to be things like whole fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, lean protein. Foods high in fiber can be very filling, especially when they're paired with proteins. Now, Anti-inflammatory, a lot of people don't understand this, but a lot of people, especially in the United States, because of our chemical exposures and our lifestyles, we have a system in our body that is constantly, or a component of our body that's constantly producing inflammation. Now, the interesting thing is, the food you put into your body can actually help reduce the inflammation that you experience. So chronic inflammation is at the root of many serious and potentially debilitating diseases. Now, a tremendous amount of research has been done over the last decade, and what it's shown is that inflammation plays a significant role in aging, it plays a role in obesity, and many of the chronic conditions and diseases that we're seeing spikes in today, such as heart disease, Alzheimer's, strokes, diabetes, autoimmune disease, Parkinson's, and even some types of cancers. Now, the interesting thing is if you can transition and learn, and it's one of the things that you're going to receive as our way of saying thanks after the webinar tonight, is we're going to give you just a real quick ebook on some really good anti-inflammatory foods that you should start eating right away. And as I said, at the end of the webinar tonight, we're going to give that to you as a free gift, and it's an ebook. But the food that you put into your body really does make a difference in your overall health and well-being. A lot of us have heard the old saying that, the body's like a computer. If you put good information in a computer, you get good information out of the computer. If you put bad information in the computer, you get bad information out of the computer. Well, your body's exactly the same. If you put good things into your body is going to work better, and as a result, you're going to be able to get good things out of your body, and that's called weight loss and better health. If you put bad things into your body's not going to run as well. And as a result, you're going to get bad things out of your body, and that is failing health, chronic disease, and obesity. The next thing is learning to make good choices. We want you to learn to be cognizant of the choices that you make and make the right choice. As I said earlier, we need an accountability partner. So what the heck is an accountability partner? An accountability partner is somebody that you have to report to on a regular basis. And the recommendation, and I think the reason that we get such great success with our patients, is we recommend and we implement in our offices the professional guidance of a doctor. Now, the thing that I found that helped me lose the weight, and actually finally for the first time in my life at 43 years of age be able to keep it off, is called the doctor-supervised ChiroThin Weight Loss Program. You see, everything that I knew as a physician, even though I was trying to apply it, I wasn't getting the results that I want. I sat down and I actually started looking at all of these different programs that were out there, because I know physiology. As a doctor, I know how the body works. I should know what keeps us healthy and what gets us sick. And what I sat down and realized that the things that I was doing, the ways that I was going about it, were not going to lend itself towards living a healthier lifestyle without sacrifice. And if I can't do that, then I can't expect my results to be long-term. One of the things that I liked about the ChiroThin Weight Loss Program is there's no nasty weight loss shakes. I can't do a shakes. I've never recommended shakes to my patients. I don't think the average person likes the idea of having to have 1 or 2 meal replacement shakes every single day. I also like the fact that there was no disgusting prepackaged food. So, I've done the Nutrisystem. I did not like the food at all. And what I liked about the ChiroThin program is that the foods that you're eating are actually bought at the grocery store. You go buy everything you need at the grocery store. So it's really one of the cool things about the program is that I learned to actually how to shop. I learned how to eat. I learned how to buy the foods not only while I was on the losing component of the program, but I also learned those skills and those tools that were necessary to allow me to make the behavioral changes in order to help assure that I was going to have a longer-term weight loss. So what exactly is the ChiroThin Weight Loss Program? It's a doctor-supervised weight loss program that's composed of the dietary and behavioral modifications that I mentioned earlier. The nutritional support formula includes amino acids, vitamins, and detoxification benefits, and there's absolutely no injections needed. And there's weekly supervision by a doctor. Now, the doctor supervision ensures that it's safe for both men and women as long as you're not pregnant or breastfeeding, have active cancer, or have been experiencing recent gallbladder attacks. It helps to suppress your appetite. It boosts your metabolism. It helps boost your energy levels. It's going to actually cause your body to burn more fat. It's going to help your body establish new set points for your BMR and your BMI. And that's really important that you understand, because it's the set points of your body that are going to allow you to help keep the weight off or put the weight back on. So for example, if I started at 280 pounds and I lost 40 pounds, well, now I'm at 240. If the set point for my body is still at 280 and it's not been reset to 240, my body is always going to want me to be moving back to 280. If I can reset my set points to 240, then now my body is going to want to keep me at 240. So resetting or reestablishing or establishing new set points for BMI and BMR within your body are one of the keys to long-term weight loss. And the ChiroThin program is both safe and effective. So how does it actually work? Well, as I said earlier, it's a doctor-based dietary and behavioral guidance program combined with a VLCD and the ChiroThin nutritional support formula. Now, the ChiroThin nutritional support formula, as I said, works to burn fat. It helps suppress hunger. It's going to eliminate cravings, and it's going to help your body establish new set points for BMI and BMR. With over 10,000 ChiroThin weight loss program participants, what the ChiroThin program has found is that the typical female, when following the program as instructed, is going to lose between 20 to 35 pounds or 2 to 3 dress sizes in just about 6 weeks. And we also know that the typical male patient is going to lose between 30 to 45 pounds in 6 weeks as well. I do want to show you some of the successes that my patients have had. This is Barb. She lost 27 pounds and 25 inches in just 42 days, and she's kept it off for over 2.5 years currently. This is Dan. He's lost 33 pounds and 29 inches, and he did that in just 42 days. This is Jeannie. She lost 20 pounds and 20 inches in 21 days. This is Angelica. She lost 26 pounds and 24 inches in just 42 days. This is Nancy. She lost 20 pounds and 19 inches in just 42 days. This is Roland. Roland lost 56 pounds and 34 inches in 42 days. This is Don. He lost 96 pounds and 46 inches in just under 5 months. And I want you to know that he's actually kept it off for 3 years now. And then this is Dr. Sheldon Brown. Dr. Brown lost over 100 pounds in 1 year. And to be really honest with you, the picture on the left is the picture of himself when he started the ChiroThin weight loss program. The picture on the right is 1 year to the day after he did the program.